pleasure alike, who dwells in his own self, who looks upon a clod, a stone, a piece of gold as of equal worth, who remains the same amidst the pleasant and unpleasant things, who is firm of mind, who regards both blame and praise as one. The description of a person who is gunatit beyond the three modes of nature is continuing. But a person regards pain and pleasure as alike, dwells in his own self, looks upon clay, a stone, a piece of gold as of equal worth, remains the same amidst the pleasant and unpleasant things, is firm of mind and regards both blame and praise as one. Such a person is gunatit, beyond the three modes of nature. Sri Krishna has described the qualities here. This is a state of asan sakti, feeling of non-attachment. If I were to explain it in simple language, then the Lord is showing the state of non-attachment. The first quality is that such a person regards pain and pleasure as alike. This is what such a person is like. I have spoken about this over and over again. Pain shakes a person and pleasure also shakes a person. Pains and pleasures come as a consequence of the modes of nature. Pleasure is a consequence of the mode of sattva, goodness, and pain is as a consequence of the mode of rajas, passion. At the root, what are pain and pleasure alike at the root? The activities of sitting in a merry-go-round. When a merry-go-round goes up, then the people get pleasure, and then when the merry-go-round comes back down, then people get pain. But what about the person who has gotten off the merry-go-round? That person goes beyond pains and pleasures. Now, a person who has reached the state of gunatit, beyond the three modes of nature, is a person who has gotten off this merry-go-round. Therefore, this person does not run after pleasures and does not run away from pains. God has described this quality over and over again in the Gita. At the time of describing a sthita prajna, a person settled in intelligence, Shri Krishna has described this quality in the 56th verse of the second chapter of the Gita. Dukkeshu anukamana sukheshu viktaspara. He whose mind is untroubled in the midst of sorrows and is free from eager desire amidst pleasures. The reason why the gunatit, the person beyond the three modes of nature, has this quality is because he thinks that pleasures and pains have come as a result of which I've asked for throughout my previous births. Because of the karmas that I've performed and because of the activities of the mode of nature in which I've become stuck, that is why I'm getting pleasures and pains. Therefore, I will tolerate what I have got and I'll finish them off in a clear way. Therefore, if pain comes in such a person, he accepts them, and if pleasures come, then a person also accepts them. If we look at it from the perspective of a devotee, then the devotee sees pleasures as a love letter from God because of the satkarma, the divine acts that he has performed. He thinks that my God has become happy. And if pain comes, then he considers that I must have made a mistake and my Lord is holding my ear. Therefore he attains what he needs to be attained from pleasures and pains, and he does not become stuck in the pleasures and pains themselves. What happens to an ordinary person is that there are pleasures. If there are pleasures, then the ordinary person gets stuck in these pleasures, and if there are pains, then he gets frustrated because of those things. However, a devotee takes the juice out of the pleasures and pains and puts the skin to the side. He attains what needs to be attained from these, and therefore what happens is that pleasures remind him of God, and pains also remind him of God. He sees everything from this meaning and from this perspective. He regards pain and pleasure as alike. He sees pain and pleasure as messages sent to him by God, and the matter is finished. The next quality described in Gunati, beyond the three modes of nature, is swastha, meaning he dwells in his own self. Shankaracharya says that swastha means he abides in his self calmly and with joy. Swe atmani sthita pranashta swastha. Swastha is an inner equilibrium and an inner balance. This is what swastha is, and if you look at the breakdown of the word itself, then you understand what it means. Swastha can be split into swa, self, and sta, meaning residing. One who resides in his own self is swastha. What are we all like? We are all aswastha, one who does not reside in himself. We do not reside in our own self, and we just move around everywhere. We're always in other people and keep thinking about what the other person is doing and what is happening to the other person. We are all aswastha, one who does not reside in his own self. Whereas a person who is gunatit, beyond the three modes of nature, is swastha, one who resides in his own self. And in reality, only one who is swastha, one who resides in his own self, is really valued. If we're in a house, and it's a very nice house, that has been decorated in a nice way, and you live in that house, then there is the greatness in living in that house. If nothing is right in one's house and one keeps moving everywhere, staying at one person's house one day and another person's house another day, then at the beginning the other person may find it fine, but after a year or two will understand that this person has nothing and just keeps moving around. As soon as it's 1 p.m. every day at midday, then he leaves, and when we ask him what he's doing, then he just says that he was passing the neighborhood and wants to meet us. We're thinking in the mind that we must have done something wrong that this person has passed in the house. This is because if he comes once and then he comes twice, then this is constantly going to happen. The same thing happens to a human being mentally when he becomes mentally aswastha, one who does not reside in his own self. If one's mind is nice, beautiful and decorated, and one's heart is pure, and one remains swastha, one who resides in one's self, then he gets bliss. But if a person is aswastha, one who does not reside in his own self, and just keeps running around everywhere, then the same thing happens to the mind. A person who is gunatit, beyond the three modes of nature, is swastha, one who resides in his own self. The next quality of a gunatit, beyond the three modes of nature, are described in this verse, is one who looks upon clay, a stone, and a piece of gold as of equal worth. Does he mean that he puts a piece of clay in his pocket and throws away gold coins? No. He does not become affected by these. He knows the value of everything, and he knows that clay is called clay, stone is called stone, and gold is called gold. He looks after them and does everything, but he does not run after them. He regards all of them as of equal worth. A person who is gunatit, beyond the three modes of nature, remains the same amidst the pleasant and unpleasant things. Whether he gets pleasant things or unpleasant things, he remains the same. I am deliberately not speaking about this because I've spoken about it earlier, for example in the 12th chapter, when I described the qualities of a devotee, because God has said this then as well. And therefore, Shri Krishna is trying to say is that if you go on the path of karma, action, and reach the state of Siddha Prajna, a person of settled intelligence, if you go on the path of bhakti, devotion, and attain the qualities of a devotee, or if you go on the path of Gnan, wisdom, and attain the supreme Gnan, wisdom, of all wisdom the best, by knowing which all sages have passed from this world to the highest perfection, Gnanam Gnana Uttamam Yajgnatvam Munaya Sarve Param Siddhim Ito Gata, as Shri Krishna described in the first verse of this chapter, then ultimately all these qualities are the same. The paths of bhakti, devotion, karma, action, and gnan, wisdom, are ultimately free from the modes of nature. And all of these matters are those of inner qualities. God never says that such a person wears these types of clothes, puts such tilak, vermilion on their forehead, wears such a necklace, has this type of Mara prayer beads. God never says this anywhere, as you can see. If you go on the path of karma, action, bhakti, devotion, then there should be if you've gone on the path of karma action, then there should be some inner transformation in you. If you go on the path of bhakti, devotion, then there should be some inner transformation in you. And if you go on the path of gnan, wisdom, then the consequence of this is that there should be an inner transformation in you. Whether a person who is gunatit, beyond the three modes of nature, gets pleasant things or unpleasant things, he remains the same. The next quality of a person who is gunatit, beyond the three modes of nature, is that he is dhiras, firm in mind. Shankaracharya Ji says that such a person is intelligent and firm in mind. Dhiraha dhimam. A person who is dhiras, firm in mind, has no thoughts of selfishness in his intellect. Svanishta vabacharita buddhi vrutihi. How? As an example, let's say that 10 of us are making preparations to sleep in the room somewhere. It is night time and we're making the preparations to sleep. At that time, a cockroach comes flying into the room. It comes inside the room. Just think about what the different reactions of all the 10 these people are. One person may even jump up 4 times as much as a cockroach. What else can the poor cockroach do? He jumps 4 times as much as a cockroach. Fine, the second person picks up the cockroach and makes efforts to take the cockroach outside. The third person may try to kill the cockroach because such thoughts came to his mind. And one person may just be sitting there in peace watching all the trouble that all of these people are causing. The reactions of all 10 of these people are different. The cockroach is one, and the circumstance is one. A person who is dhiras, firm in mind, is such that whatever comes in his life, he watches it in peace. This is a person who you call dhiras, firm in mind. One needs to be dhiras, firm in mind towards both pain and pleasure. Unfortunately, we have associated the word dhiras, firm in mind, with pain, where if a person gets pain, then we say be firm and patient. Should we not do this when we get pleasures? Being Dhiras firm in mind is also needed when pleasures come. In fact, we need to be more dhiras firm in mind when we get pleasures. In pain, we have to be dhiras firm in mind, otherwise where else can we go? On the other hand, we do not have to be dhiras firm in mind when we get pleasures, and that's why it's very necessary. This is dhiras, firm in mind. If the same one event of pain or event of pleasure comes to one's family, then it's interpreted in different ways by members of the family. Some people just understand. A person who is gunatit beyond the three modes of nature is dhiras, firm in mind. Another meaning of the word dhiras, it can be found if you split it into di, the intellect, and ra, to give. Therefore, one who offers the intellect to others has the quality of being dhiras, firm in mind. This means that one who gives understanding to others is dhiras, firm in mind. And how can we give our intellects to others? Only if something is in the well, it can come into the bucket. And in the same way, only if we have an intellect can we give it to others. Therefore, one must first be understanding themselves, and only then can they give their understanding to others. One can then give the intellect and the intellect to others. This is the quality of dhiras, firm in mind. A person who is gunatit beyond the three modes of nature is like this. The next quality of a person who is gunatit beyond the three modes of nature described in this verse is that he regards both blame and praise as one. How can one do this? The reason why he can do this is because he is very clear in his thoughts about some things. He knows that blame and praise are only done of the body, or the name is very important for blame and praise. The first scenario is when blame and praise are in relation to the body, and the second scenario is when blame and praise are in relation to one's name. The experience of a person who is gunatit beyond the three modes of nature is that I am not the body and I am not the name. Therefore, neither blame nor praise touch me. I have no relationship with either of them. Why does one get pain as a result of blame? One thinks that, has this happened to my name? Are people saying this about me? This is when one person thinks that I am this name and people are saying this about me. This person gets into a lot of pain. On the other hand, a person who is gunatit beyond the three modes of nature thinks that if people say something, then let them say it. I am not the name. I am also not the body. One who experiences this finds that the relationship with blame and praise has been broken. If there is a stain in my shirt, I know that I am not the shirt, and therefore does the stain touch me? No. The stain touched the shirt, and I've taken the shirt off to wear a new shirt. This is because the shirt has to be taken off. And if someone places a very nice medal on the shirt, then should I get happy as a result of this? No, because this medal has also been placed on the shirt. It also has to come off with the shirt. Therefore, if there is praise in the form of medal or blame in the form of a stain, it is not me, and it is going to come off. Either they'll fall on the body or they'll fall on the name. A name is also a shirt. If people then by the name of Natyos are called Natalal, then has this shirt changed or has something else happened? The shirt has been changed and the shirt is going to be taken off. Blame or praise do not affect a person who is gunatit beyond the three modes of nature. Secondly, regarding both blame and praise as one means that when somebody blames him, then he does not become sad as a result of it, and if someone praises him, then he does not get happy as a result of it. The great thing in this is that only when one goes beyond both will they get peace in their lives, otherwise they will not get peace. One needs to go beyond both. People say that if people blame me, that it does not make a difference to me, but it makes a difference when people praise them, then it will make a difference, and if it makes a difference when people praise them, then it will make a difference if people blame them. If someone gets praised by other people and they feel a rush of happiness inside and get excited, then know that when people blame them, then they'll definitely get sad. Or if a person gets sad when people blame them, then they'll know that when people praise them, then they will feel really good. These are the two sides to one coin. One who has to leave this must be free from both. If we try to look this ordinarily, then it's said very nicely here that Nindak Nirya Rakshya Angan Kuti Chavai. A devotee welcomes criticism because he knows that the criticism puts a hole in his ego. We should keep people who criticize us near to us. An ordinary person does not do this. Ordinarily, what we like is to keep people who praise us around us and to keep people who criticize us away from us. But saints, wise people, knowledgeable people, and great souls say that we should always keep people who criticize us near us. The great thing is that you should remain independent, but if you ask to keep anyone near you, then keep people who criticize you near you. Not only should you keep them near you, but you should keep them with you in a nice way. Why? There is a reason for this. These people see the faults of ours that we cannot see. These people do a very good thing for us. The faults of ours that we have kept hidden, these people keep bringing them outside and say, look, this fault is in you. There are two situations. Either that the person is criticizing you is completely wrong, or the person criticizing you is right. It can be either of the two. If criticism is completely wrong, then there's no reason to worry about it, because it is wrong. A person who is gunatit beyond the three modes of nature, and a person who is a great soul does not worry about these very much. It is as if an elephant is walking and dogs are barking behind him. It does not worry too much about these, but it is possible that 1 out of the 10 times a criticism can be correct. This is possible. If this is the case, then you should be grateful to these people that they have seen the faults of ours that we ourselves have not seen. A person who criticizes does wrong to himself. It is said in our scriptures that a person who criticizes commits sins and washes the sins of the person who is criticizing. Therefore we should be happy that it is good that that person is criticizing us, because our sins are being washed away. The other person is doing wrong to himself by criticizing others, but he is doing wrong to himself and at the same time doing good to us. We should make use of it. No matter if he was doing wrong to himself, he is doing good to us. And before he realizes that I'm doing wrong to myself, we should make use of this. In China, there was an artist. He knew a person who was a critic, and he would always criticize people. This Chinese artist has a rule that with the pictures he would draw, he would always call the person who would be criticizing it first, and he would show him the picture. He would tell him to look at the picture, and this person would find a mistake or the other in the picture, and this artist would correct the mistake. Then no matter if it would take months, 6 months, 8 months, a year or 2 years, until the person could not find any mistakes and said that there's no mistakes in it, then the Chinese artist would say thank you, and then would then sell the picture in the market. Even today in China, those paintings of the artists are there. At the very late age, the critic understood that what have I done my entire life apart from criticizing these pictures? I kept criticizing these pictures, and the time I spent and energy I lost in criticizing these pictures. Instead, if I had used this, then perhaps I could have become a good artist. Today, this artist is getting a lot of praise because of me. An artist himself cannot see any faults in his own pictures. The critic shows these to him. And when this person realized this, then it was too late, because he has no longer even had the power to hold the brush in his hands. If there is a critic around us, then before they realize, we should tell them to criticize us as much as they can. We should listen to this. Saints say it very nicely that the person who wishes to earn fame has to pay tax in the form of criticism. 7 out of 10 people will be praising you while you're getting fame, and at the same time 3 out of 10 people will come to criticize you. Just consider that you have to pay 30% tax. This happens. One should not worry too much about this. And one should not be shaken during times of happiness as well when one gets praised. This is because if someone says that they do not get moved by criticism, then what about the fact that they enjoy getting praise? Rather than this, Sri Krishna says that one should regard both blame and praise as one. Even in praise, do not lose your inner equilibrium. This is because it feels good to rejoice during times of happiness. There are also 2 types of happiness: true happiness and false happiness. If you think a little, then you will understand that that which is true happiness cannot be called happiness. It is truth. If someone has white skin and you go and tell them that they have white skin, then are you praising them? It is a fact. If someone has nice eyes and you go up to them and tell them that they have very nice eyes, then have you praised them? It is reality. Kevalam tatya varanam. Wisdom of the truth cannot be described. When does one enjoy happiness? It is when it is false. When does one get pain for criticism? It is when it is true. If there is false criticism, then there is nothing to get pain about. But when criticism is true, then one gets pain because of it. The reason for this is that if someone tries to open up a weak side that we have kept hidden and have swept underneath the carpet, then it gives us pain. When guests come to our house, then what we do in order to make the house nice very quickly is that we pick up the rubbish nearby and sweep it underneath the carpet. If there is rubbish that we've picked up, collected and swept underneath the carpet, then if the guest comes and says your carpet is very nice, and while saying this they pick up the carpet and we tell them to stop doing this, the other person is not praising the carpet but is about to reveal the rubbish. One gets pain from this. If someone tries to open up the weak side that we've kept suppressed, then we get pain. Just think about it, that we do not get very disturbed by false criticism. Maybe the mind may get affected by it, but it is not deep, and we feel that let us let it go because it is false. But when someone gives us true criticism, then it gives us a lot of pain. And when people give us false praise, then we get a lot of enjoyment out of it. It is especially the case with women. We have had some cases at college, and I remember them recently, that they're absolutely ordinary and not beautiful, but when someone tells them, oh, you look like a very beautiful person, then this woman is very much thinking, wow, and it's a party on that day. False praise feels good. The person knows that we are very greedy and nothing leaves our hands, but if two people come and say that you're so good and there's no one that can give donations like you, then people like to hear this. This is false happiness. And only that which is false can be called happiness. True happiness is truth, so therefore, why can you call it happiness? Getting happy from false praise is like frightening risks. One likes to listen a lot, but it's very dangerous. What? If we consider this false praise to be true, then we cannot become that which we were meant to be. If we're not dharmic and 5 people come up to us and tell us that you perform such great bhakti devotion and you're so dharmic, and we like this, so we consider it to be true that I'm very good and I'm very dharmic, then we do not perform bhakti devotion, then we're in reality going to perform. This is because an illusion will come and we will get a satisfaction that, see, 5 people are telling me that I'm right. That is why great souls say that in reality, the person praising us is our enemy and the person criticizing us is our friend. We should keep people who criticize us in front of us. We should not get disturbed by criticism. It is fine, so let them do it. Satyameva jayate namrutam. In the end, the truth prevails. The truth triumphs. Perhaps time is needed for this, but slowly and slowly, the truth comes forward and prevails. One should not be affected by blame or praise. Fourth, a person who is gunatit, beyond the 3 modes of nature, gets wisdom, gnan, of blame and praise. When Shri Krishna says that a gunatit person beyond the 3 modes of nature regards both blame and praise as one, then this means that when someone criticizes this person, then he realizes that someone is criticizing me, and when someone praises this person, then he realizes that someone is praising me. Even if he is not affected by it, he knows that someone is blaming him. He immediately knows, but he is the same. This does not mean that he does not understand. He understands, but despite this, his behavior with that person is proper. He does not have the thoughts that if someone praises me, then I would keep him close to me, and if somebody criticizes me, then I'll keep him away from me. When a person comes in front of him, then he sees that both as one, and behaves with them both in the same way. The reason for this is that he knows that blame and praise are both activities not within our control, and the activities that someone else is performing. We should understand it a little spiritually, that somebody else is criticizing and somebody else is praising. To be happy or sad as a result of this is a mistake. This is because if somebody does something and I get happy as a result of it, or somebody does something and I get sad as a result of it, then this means that I have given the key to make me happy or sad in somebody else's hand, and that I've given my remote control in somebody else's hands, so they've pressed a button, then I'll get happy, and if they press another button, then I'll get sad. This would mean that the right of me being happy is not my own, but somebody else's. And what is the other person like? The other person is blaming or criticizing according to his understanding, qualifications, nature, etc. He'll criticize depending on the understanding that he has, and he'll praise depending on the understanding he has in his intellect. We must remember that tunde matiri bina, each and every person has different thoughts and different interests. This means that while we have given this remote control in the hands of one more person, then there's peace. But we have given the remote control in everybody's hands. And everybody is different, and everybody's nature is different. We should think about it that if there is one television in the house and 5 people were sat down to watch it, where there is one remote control, then we know what will be the state of the television. The father wants to watch the news. The news runs for 2 to 4 minutes, so the mother takes the remote control and says that she wants to watch her soap opera. She presses the remote control and the television channel is changed. The son says that he wants to watch an action movie, pushes the button on the remote control, and the action movie remains. This runs continuously, and not a single program is watched for more than 5 to 7 minutes on television. One says that he wants to watch one thing, and another says that he wants to watch another thing. As soon as an advertisement comes, then one person wants to see what the score on the other channel is. The third person runs somewhere else while the commercials are going on. If this is the state that results when one remote control goes through everybody's hands, then think about what had happened to the television screen if each and every person had their own remote control. This is what happens to us when we give the remote controls of making us happy or sad to everybody else in the world, so that we become affected by the praise or blame they give us. We tell them that you do something and I'll get happy, or you do something and I'll get sad. This is the very reason why our thoughts are constantly interrupted. At that time, this person who is good at it beyond the three modes of nature understands that both blame and praise are one. He thinks that nobody else can decide my happiness or my sadness, and therefore he is able to go beyond happiness and sadness. One should regard both blame and praise as one. Let's go to the next verse.